let's see what we got next, you guys. Let's see what Perry has for us. Hopefully something good. Hopefully something good. Something good. Ties That Tether. That book is right here. Let me grab it. Here we go. Again, another bargain book. Ties That Tether by Jane Igharo. Now, I have another book by her that I also got on discount. It's called The Sweetest Remedy, and they look very similar. So I am just going to make sure that they're not in a series. Yeah, I'll check on that. If not, then I might just read the other one first. If it is a part of a series, or I'll figure that out. But our next book, Ties That Tether. Oh, let's see what it's about. So it seems like this girl, when she was 12, she promised her dad, who was dying, that she would marry a Nigerian man. And so ever since, her mom has been forcing her, like really staying on her, to make sure that she stays in the Nigerian dating pool. I guess her mom has been setting her up on dates and stuff. But when her last date that her mom set up goes wrong, she's like, forget this. And she goes to a bar and she meets this guy and they end up sharing a bed together. The man is tall, handsome, and white. I don't typically like swirl. Like, basically, she's like falling in love with him and she's like, is loving him. Does that make her any less Nigerian? Not excited about this one, unfortunately. I don't really like the whole swirl romance thing. Like, I like Black characters. I like Black love. Like, that's just what it is for me. So, but I have it. I bought the book. I should have known. Look at in her glasses. The man, he looks white. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I bought it. I'm going to read it. Hopefully the writing is good. The last time I read a book that was swirl, I didn't know it. And that book had me in a slump. It was, if I can, I'll put it up here. I can't remember it right now, but yeah, that book. I'm sad. Perry, what's going on? I mean, I guess I bought the book. So is it Perry's fault or is it my fault? Anyways, yep, it's fine. It's fine. So I just looked and this book came out first. And then there's the other one, The Sweetest Remedy. So, also, I did see someone here on BookTube talk about these two books, and she said that she really liked them. And she's also a girl who, like, she talks about Black books. Like, that's kind of her thing as well. So maybe I'll like it. We'll see. I'm gonna give it a chance. Hey you guys, it's Michelle and I'm back. So update on Ties That Tether. I am actually really enjoying it. So yeah, I'm already like more than halfway. But before I tell you about this one, I want to show you the books that I got. So I did go to Target and bought some books. I just was like, okay, I'm going to treat myself a little bit, just a little bit, and I'm going to buy some books. So usually I feel like Target really don't be having a lot of good options. At least, my Target doesn't. It's small, so, but I was able to buy 2 books. And so y'all remember I was talking about Ace of Spades and how I loved it, and how I'm like, oh yeah, like I was checking out other things that she wrote, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to get those. So I found a couple of her books at Target. So the next one that I got, if you can see, Where Sleeping Girls Lie, and it's giving that same vibe of Ace of Spades a little bit, you know, so it's kind of like thriller, a little bit spooky. Let me zoom this in just a little bit so you can see me. Hopefully it's not too dark. Yeah, and the window is doing its thing. But yeah, so we have still high school. This is a girl in her junior year, and she goes to a prestigious boarding school. So we're getting that. Her new roommate has disappeared on the first night, and people think she has something to do with it. So with all that going on, I guess she catches the attention of this group of girls. They call themselves the Unholy Trinity, and they are like bringing her in. So with that, and then classes, like with everything, there's just so much on her plate, and nobody seems to care about the friend or the roommate that went missing, except for the roommate's best friend. So they team up and they investigate what's going on. And then a student is found dead. So yeah, she's finding out that this school ain't what it appears to be. So it's giving the same type of vibes. Now I haven't seen a whole lot of people read this, but I have seen maybe one or two, maybe one other person read this, and they did not like this as much. But you know, of course, I'm going to read it for myself and see how I like it. Hopefully it is good. Just another thing to add to the collection. And then also by the same author and another author, so there's 2 authors on there, is 4 Ids and a Funeral. So I already had this on my TBR because, I don't know, I saw it somewhere. I forget. I saw it on a list somewhere. This is YA, of course. I forget how I came upon this book, but I saw it and I wanted to read it. One, because if you guys don't know, I freelance. I'm a videographer. I do video editing and things like that. And I used to have an assistant editor who was like overseas somewhere. I forget where, but they celebrated Ids. And there's like 2 Ids. I forget like the full name of it, but they celebrated that. And I was kind of seeing like that's kind of like their Christmas. So when I seen this, I'm like, okay, this would give me a chance to kind of learn a little bit more about that, a little bit more about that culture, you know, what that means, and you know, all of this stuff. So even though I do prefer to have Black books, you know, I prefer to read Black books, I prefer to read about Black characters, it is nice to have every once in a while, you know, something of a different culture. So I'm really glad that this was available. So it's 4 Ids and a Funeral, and the little text says, let's get one thing straight. This is a love story. So I'm really liking it. You know, you have the characters who are obviously like, you know, not feeling each other, but obviously it's a love story. So they probably gonna end up falling in love and stuff. So let me see what we got here. And I'm going to be terrible with the names. So we have Saeed, and he is at boarding school. His favorite hometown librarian dies. So he returns to, I'm guessing, his hometown for the funeral and for summer. But back at home, he has this ex-best friend, Tiwa. So I guess there's some stuff going on because of that. And then also, his parents, his Bangladeshi parents, he has to tell them that he wants to be an artist rather than a doctor. So we know how that goes. On the other hand, we have Tiwa, and she has no idea why Saeed stopped talking to her. She thinks it's because of the fancy boarding school that he's going to. And because he was acting funky, she's like, well, I'm just going to pretend that he don't even exist. And so she feels like she's got a lot on her plate already. She's trying to help her family that's grieving, and also help her mom throw the upcoming Eid celebration at the Islamic Center, a place that means so much to Tiwa. However, the Islamic Center catches on fire and the mayor plans to just demolish it altogether. So Tiwa kind of needs Saeed's help to like change the mayor's mind, and Saeed needs help working on a project to submit for art school. So it's like, can they save the Islamic Center? Can they save Eid? And can they save their relationship? It sounds like it's going to be good. So yeah, I'm going to put both of these books in, I'm going to write them down and put them in Perry in the jar. And we will see when we end up reading these. Oh, I really like how the actual book is like a green. I don't know if y'all can see that. That's pretty. Oh, and it has like, what is this? Is that Morse code? You know, where you feel, you probably can't see good. Where you feel and can read like that. That's cool. That's a little surprise. Maybe that has something to do with the story. Maybe someone is blind. I love the lavender of this one too. So, anyways, on to Ties That Tether. So, y'all know how I was feeling about this at first. I wasn't too thrilled to learn that this was a swirl romance, and mainly because the last one that I read put me in a reading slump. However, this is not that. This is pretty good. It's a lot more drama. It's more juicy. The chapters are short, so I'm able to like get through this pretty quickly. Like, I'm surprised at how fast I've been able to read this book. I've got maybe a little over a third left. And if I'm diligent, I can get this book finished before the weekend is over. But this is good. This is good so far. Okay, so to start out, we have our main character, Azere. I think is how you say her name. She's Nigerian. She works at an advertising agency as the creative director. Her mom and her sister and her moved to Canada from Nigeria. They immigrated when she was about 12 years old after her father passed away. They lived with, when they came over, they lived with her uncle and the uncle's son. So they kind of adopted them as, their family. So she looks at them as a father figure and looks at the son as a brother. Before her dad died, he, you can kind of see the signs. He's getting sicker and sicker. And so he knows that they are going to have to go to Canada potentially and be with his brother, her uncle. And her father is afraid that his girls will lose their culture, lose their heritage. When you come to a new country, you have to assimilate, you have to fit in. And so you can kind of lose some of that original culture that you had. So he's afraid of that. And he promises her to marry a Nigerian man, specifically Edo or Edo, and to have his babies. Now, to have his babies part is just wild to me. Like, marry him and have his babies. Like, I don't know. Just that wording is, that's what we're dealing with. Okay. And so ever since then, her mom has really been on her about keeping that promise and about sticking to her Nigerian roots, Nigerian traditions, all of that stuff. So something similar to this is Yinka, Where's Your Husband? If you've read that or if you've heard of that book, similar type of thing going on here. You know, we got overbearing mamas that just are trying to marry their daughters off. And the daughters, you know, they are living their lives, having their careers. And, you know, it's kind of like, when you going to get married and have kids? Like, forget that job, you know? So that's kind of like what the mom is on. As you get into the book, just how her mom acts, how her mom treats her, it's just crazy. Her mom sets her up on these dates. Like, her mom is like very persistent about, you need to find a Nigerian man. So her mom is always setting her up on, you know, a date with a Nigerian man. So when we meet Azere in the book, chapter 1, she is on a date with this Nigerian man that her mom set up. And the guy is very rude, arrogant, a little bit controlling. He's treating this date as if it is a interview. And he's like, so do you cook? Do you cook Nigerian food? You know, he's like, so when you have a family, you gonna quit your job, right? And when she pushes back on that, he tries to like intimidate her, and she's not having it. And so he's like, oh, you know, I thought you were gonna be more submissive. Your mom didn't tell me that you know, weren't submissive. And so she's like, you know what? This is over. So she leaves the date and goes to the bar. They're at a hotel. I guess the hotel has a restaurant / bar or whatever. So she goes to the bar. And there we meet the love interest, Rafael. Now, Rafael, he's white, but, you know, apparently he's good looking. He is of Spanish descent. His grandmother or his great grandmother lives in Spain currently. His family is like visiting there. However, they live in Toronto now. And Rafael, lives in New York, and he is visiting Toronto because he had a job interview. And so he's like, yeah, you know, if I get this job, it'll be nice to kind of move back to Toronto, be closer to family. And also, he's running away from some memories that happened in New York. So that's like a running thing for him throughout the book. Something has happened to him, something very traumatic. And so he's trying to heal from that. However, he tends to bury himself in his work. And his family is a little bit worried about him in that sense. So we have our two characters. And then, you know, they meet each other at the bar. They hit it off. They're talking, you know, they're enjoying each other. Like, they get to like touching each other. Like, she's like putting her hand on his, you know, on his knee and stuff. And then right when the bar closes, they kiss. And so they kissing, they making out at this point. And the bartender is like, we've been closed. Like, can y'all take this somewhere else? And so, you know, she's a little hesitant at first, and he's a little hesitant, but then, you know, they end up in his hotel room, and things happen. You know, they do whatever. So after you know, they do all that, she's like, okay, let me get up and go. Like, I don't really know this guy that well. Even though she feels such a like strong connection with him. And the guy is like, don't go. Like, I want you to stay. So she stays. However, by the morning, by the time the dude wakes up, she gone. So months later, or a month later, I would say, a month and a few weeks later, she's at work and this new guy walks in. And surprise, it is Rafael. And they're both like shocked. Like, girlfriend is shocked. She done choked on a muffin she was trying to eat. So, yeah, they're both pretty surprised. And, they talk a little bit. And she's like, let's keep this professional. Let's keep this platonic. Like, let's not make this a big deal. You can tell he wants a little bit more, but she's just like, no, let's not do this. Mainly because of her, this whole promise thing. It's not like, she just feels like it's not like we can really date seriously like that, so let's just not even do it. Even though she does feel a connection with him. Okay? So, like I said, her mom keeps setting her up on dates and stuff. And the newest guy that her mom sets her up with is a guy that took her virginity and then ghosted her. So she is not like, she don't like this guy. She's not feeling this guy. Her mom knows none of that. And the dude is like trying to apologize and stuff. And he's really trying to date her. And her mom is like inviting him over into stuff. And she's like, canceling dates with him. And her mom is like getting mad. Like, girl, you need to get up on this. This is going to be your husband. So we have that going on. And then with all of that, our girl has something happens to her that completely changes her life upside down. So I don't want to say too much about it because, then I don't want to give too much. But yeah, so this is juicy. It's fun. It's drama. It's messy. And I'm enjoying it. So I'm really glad I gave this a second chance. And, we're making our way through and it'll be over soon. And I'm sure, like, so far it's giving 4 stars. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. One thing I want to mention is that, or two things, is that the author uses a lot of like movie references in this book. We got The Best Man, Poetic Justice for sure, The Titanic, Brown Sugar, like so many movie references. And the character Azere, she uses those scenes, like different scenes from those movies, to describe what's going on at that time, describe like what's happening. And I really like that because it like helps me to visualize what's going on. Like she mentioned something from The Best Man, and I'm like, yep, I know, like I can see, like I got it, so I really like that. And then I'm also loving this cover. Like the more that I look at it, I'm just like, this is so pretty. Just how deep the colors are is really pretty. And then the blue, I feel like it's just like tying it all together for me. And fun fact, this pattern all in the background is the print of one of her dresses that she wears for dinner one night. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little update on that. And I'm trying to think if I forgot anything. If not, I'll tell you guys how it all ends, how I feel about it, my final thoughts in the next clip. Hey friends, I'm here to give you my final thoughts on Ties That Tether. So I will give this book 4 stars. Honestly, like I loved it. I ate it up. It was drama, juicy, family issues, relationship issues. Like It was quick. The chapters were short. Like, I was able to just eat it up. And so I'm giving it 4 stars. As far as the romance, it was a little bit insta-lovey. You know, the couple kind of, instantly kind of fell into each other. And I think a lot of the romance was overshadowed by the whole interracial dating conflict. However, I did think that the love interest for Azere, his name was Rafael, I did think that he was sweet and that he was a good fit. The scenes that we did get of, them being cute together, him bringing her dinner whenever she was sick, and him cooking her dinner, and what else? Them watching movies together. I did think that that was cute. We did get a few, there's like a few, every few chapters, we get a little chapter with Raphael's POV. And I did like that. It wasn't too much, but it was enough for us to kind of understand a little bit more about him. We got to learn a little bit more and kind of peek into, like I said last time, how he's dealing with some trauma, some past issues, right? We meet his family, through his POV. So I did like that addition. He was keeping secrets from our girl, which is not good, but at the same time, for me, it was entertaining. He kept, no matter what came up, whether it was clues for us, the readers, or whether it was the clues to her, like, he just was refusing to give her the entire truth until the very end. So that made it more entertaining for me, and I like that. Another thing about this book is that there were a lot of movie references, like a lot. But I didn't mind it too much. It was clear that these romantic movies are her thing. And, it was like the author weaved that through the entire story all the way to the end. It wasn't just there for no reason. Like, obviously, these movies are important to the character. And whenever she would describe a scene or something from a movie, it helped me to visualize like what was happening, what our character was feeling, and just the way it kind of was tied in a nice little bow at the end, I thought was nice. Hold on, need to get my chapstick. There was a third love interest in here, I guess you could say. But honestly, for me, he was a non-factor. He never stood a chance with Azere, and I kept getting annoyed by him just popping up out of nowhere all the time. I think the author wanted to maybe create this love triangle situation, but it didn't hit for me. Like, I'm just like, I wish this guy would take the hint and just go away. So yeah, there was that. I just felt like he was just there. I mean, I guess he did create like some tension for the couple. He added a little bit like to the whole like family drama thing, but I did not like his character. I really liked how this book dealt with the whole interracial, intercultural dating thing. And it made me kind of, reassess my own biases. Because, like I said earlier in the video, I prefer to read about Black love. Swirl is not the thing that I go to pick up. But honestly, this book really changed my mind. And like I said, it was just interesting to really see. I like when books really talk about the cultural differences. Like in other books that I've read with the swirl, it might have been mentioned maybe once or twice, but it wasn't, I don't know, like maybe it wasn't mentioned enough. Like, I just feel like in an interracial romance, in an interracial couple, like, there are definitely serious differences, and I always wonder, like, how do you address that? Maybe it's not such a big deal in some situations versus others, but for the most part, like, I still feel like, you know, what are those conversations that we're having about our differences and how we're raised and how, how we were brought up, and if we plan to stay together, what that looks like for our children and things like that. And so that was like really like the center of this book. So I liked it for that reason. I'll also say that I do have, a bias in terms of when my kids grow up, I would like for them to partner with other Black people. However, seeing the way her mom was treating her, like, that would never be me. And it just made it so obvious how ridiculous it is for parents to be so involved in the partner that their children chooses to be with. Like, I never saw myself being that obsessed, but still, like, this took it to the extreme to where, like, it's not that serious, and it really is your child's choice. I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but it might be obvious that because our main character chooses to be with someone outside of her race and outside of her culture, that her mom would really feel a certain way and treat her a certain way. And I just find that, like, how can you do that to your kids? Thinking about, like, kids that come out as gay or transsexual or something like that, like, and their families disown them and kick them out of the house, and they're living on the street, and things like that. Not to say that necessarily happens in this book, but, like, it's just crazy. We're gonna talk about the mom in just a minute, but let me finish what I got to say, and then we'll get into a little bit of a spoiler. One thing that the mom kept harping on was that she was afraid that her children would lose their culture and therefore lose themselves. And by the end of this book, our main character is able to stand up to her mother, and she realizes that culture is ingrained in her. Like, it's not going anywhere. Like look at her. She's Black, of course, and also she did spend a good chunk of her childhood in Nigeria. So, like, those things don't go away necessarily. Sorry, the sun is doing the most. Those things don't go away necessarily. They may look different as we grow older, and as we pass these things on to our children. It might look different from generation to generation, but it's still a part of her. So I like that. I like that she was finally, after so long, she was finally able to stand up to her mother and let her know that I gotta live my life for me. That's the main takeaway from this book, is that you can't live your life for nobody else, not your parents, not for friends or, whatever. Like, you have to do what's going to make you happy. And a quote that's in this book that one of her friends actually told her was to let go of the life you're planning and accept the life that's waiting for you. So I thought that was so perfect. A great way to kind of sum up my thoughts on this book, because it's kind of like how, you make plans and God laughs at them. How people always say that. I mean, I think it's okay to make plans, but to just know that things definitely do not always go to plan, and to be open to new experiences and new opportunities. And you never know, like the life that's waiting for you could be 10 times better than what you even thought that you could plan or create or whatever it is. So yes, I really, really, really liked it, and I'm giving it 4 stars. Now let's get into a spoiler real quick. If you don't want to hear that spoiler, you can fast forward. I'll put some chapters and timestamps, whatever. But let's get into the mom. The mom was a hot mess. She was a hypocrite. For you to like disown your child over that, like, one thing that Azere says to her mom is that you don't really love me. Like, your love comes with conditions. And that's crazy. Like, you only love me when I'm obedient, you know, when I do what you want. And I knew her and the uncle had something going on. I knew that they had something going on. By the end, if you read the book, by the end, it's revealed, or she walks in on her mom and her uncle in bed together. She is such a hypocrite. Azere is like, how could you do this to dad? Da, da, da. And Azere is like, you know, I can't live for, you know, somebody that has been gone for 13 years. And she's like, oh, but you want to hold me to the same standard. Like, so yeah, I kind of peeped that earlier on. And also the uncle, I got words for you too, because there's this scene where he's talking to Rafael. Rafael comes over and you know, it's revealed that they're having a baby, whatever. And he's talking to the uncle. I mean, the uncle's talking to Rafael, and he's like, you know, what are your intentions with her? Like, this girl is like a daughter to me. So I'm going to, you know, make sure that, you know, she's being treated well, da da da. But so if you want to do all that, why would you let her mom treat her like that? Like, just let her just not be in the family anymore. Like, I could see about maybe like she don't want to like talk to her. Like, you can't control, like, you know, if she talks to her or not. But for her to be completely just X'd out of the family, like not able to come to Christmas or, you know, do that. If you this strong Nigerian man and that's your woman on the low, then you should have went to her and been like, you're acting ridiculous and you need to accept your child and who she plans to be with. Like, I just, like, the mom and the uncle, they blew me. They really did. Like, got so much to say about what somebody's intentions are, but you gonna let her own family treat her like crap. What kind of father does that? What kind of father does that? Again, it just goes back to how, like, like in the story, it's kind of like, oh, it's all the mom, like it's all the mom. But again, like, what parent, if you claim you a father figure, what parent is going to disown their child? What parent is going to allow their child to be pregnant for the first time and do it completely all on her own? Like, no communication, no support. They wasn't even at the baby shower. Like, the mom definitely wasn't coming. And then the uncle, I guess he couldn't make it or whatever. But I don't know. I definitely did not like the mom and the uncle. So, yeah. Anyways, that is it for this video. If you made it this far in the video, please subscribe and join me on this journey. I would really love to have you. And, you know, leave in the comments, what are you reading? What is your current read? Put me on to some recs. You know, what would you like me to read? Anything you would like me to review? Let me know. And I will catch you guys in the next video.